Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Priyanshi Sharma. Our lead story at this hour, the Maharashtra political crisis that is consistently worsening. The question is the end game for Uddhav Thackeray very near? The Shiv Sena moves to disqualify several rebel MLAs, and a plea to the Deputy Speaker seeks disqualification of at least a dozen Maharashtra MLAs. Rebel Sena MLA Eknath Shinde currently has over 40 Maharashtra MLAs on his side, including more than 35 Sena MLAs, which means he has the two-thirds majority of MLAs with him against Uddhav Thackeray. Now, rebels in Guwahati have voted for Shinde as their leader, and the NCP chief Sharad Pawar has meanwhile said that get ready for a struggle, while the Congress says they're ready to quit the government to save the chief minister. Pawar says the floor test will decide who has the majority. And remember, the rebel Maharashtra MLAs want the current Mahavikas Aghadi alliance with the Congress and the NCP to be dissolved, and they demand an alliance with the BJP instead, which they call the natural alliance. The leaders say they've been sidelined in the alliance, and the doors of the chief minister's residence were closed for them, while only leaders of the Congress and the NCP gained. After threats, Sena extends an olive branch to the rebel MLAs, and it says, come back, we will consider quitting the Mahavikas Aghadi alliance. Let's listen in to what the rebel leader Eknath Shinde had to say.
जे काय सुख दुःख आहे हे आपल्या सगळ्यांचं एक आहे. मला तर तुम्ही जे म्हणालात ते नॅशनल पार्टी आहे, ते महाशक्ती आहे, ज्यांनी अख्ख्या पाकिस्तान म्हणजे काय परिस्थिती होती माहित नाही. तर याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी मला सांगितलेलं आहे, तुम्ही जो हा निर्णय घेतलेला आहे हा देशातला मागे आमची पुरी शक्ती आहे. कुठेही काही लागलं तर कधीही कमी पडणार नाही याची प्रचिती आपल्याला जेव्हा जेव्हा आवश्यकता भासेल तेव्हा तेव्हा सगळ्यांना आहे.
And Eknath Shinde also recently tweeted, "You cannot scare us by appealing for action against the 12 MLAs because we are the real Shiv Sena and Shiv Senics of Bal Thackeray. We know the law, so we don't care about such threats. You did not have the data, yet you created the group, so we demand to take action against you." So that's Eknath Shinde hitting back after the Shiv Sena asked the Deputy Speaker to disqualify at least a dozen of these rebel MLAs. Let's now go across to our colleague Saurabh, who is reporting from Matoshri with the latest.
Absolutely, on a day of drama, finally more drama in the evening as the Shiv Sena moves to disqualify some of the rebel MPs. Now yes, we're hearing it could be between 5 and 17, but that petition to disqualify some of the rebel MPs is being moved before the Deputy Speaker of the Maharashtra Assembly. Why Deputy Speaker? Well, because there is no speaker. The speaker's election hasn't happened because the governor did not give permission for a rule change. So that speaker's election was on hold, and then this situation came about. But in the absence of a speaker, the deputy speaker can exercise the speaker's powers. In this case, the Maharashtra Assembly does have a deputy speaker. He's from the NCP, and now that petition to disqualify rebel MLAs have been moved in front of him. He's now going to have to act on it and see what can be done. But if the MLAs are disqualified, then it's a blow to the Shinde camp, which is the rebel camp, because then their numbers come down, even as more MLAs join them. Also, what we're hearing is not all MLAs who are joining Eknath Shinde could vote for him on a trust vote, because many of them have been coerced to go, some of them have been called up, and if the trust vote happens at all in the assembly, then many in this formation that Eknath Shinde is showing in videos, in photos, that he has the numbers, but which way they will vote eventually, will they cut the cord with Thackeray's? That's not very easy to do in a party like the Shiv Sena. So Shinde wants to be more confident before he moves before the governor. At this point, he's not confident he has the numbers, which is why you see him also waiting to make his next move before more MLAs arrive. But at the same time, the Shiv Sena also now finally acting against the rebels and moving this disqualification petition before the Deputy Speaker of the Maharashtra Assembly.
And my colleague Sohit also spoke to Shiv Sena leader Arvind Sawant. Let's listen in.
अभी नहीं गए, दोपहर को गए थे। अभी इसलिए गए थे कि क्या कार्रवाई शुरू कर दी कि नहीं पूछ रहे, तो उनकी एनसीपी पार्टी की मीटिंग थी, उसके लिए वो नहीं आए। वो एक बार आके 5 मिनट मिल के कि सर अरविंद जी मुझे दोपहर को मिला है, मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ, उसको 44 पन्ने का पिटीशन है तो समय लगेगा। तो हमने इतना ही पूछना था कि भाई कार्रवाई शुरू कर दी कि नहीं कर दी।
कितने विधायकों के खिलाफ आपने डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन
अभी तो ये आए, फिलहाल हमने 12 विधायकों के खिलाफ कार्रवाई की है और मांग की है कि इनके ऊपर इनकी सदस्यता रद्द, मेंबरशिप है ना, मेंबर ऑफ लेजेंड, तो मेंबरशिप रद्द की जाए, ये मांग हमने की है, वो भी संविधान के कानून के तहत।
क्या कारण, क्या तर्क दिए हैं कि इनके रिजिग्नेशन होनी चाहिए या इनको डिस्क्वालीफाई?
तर्क नहीं होता यहाँ, तर्क तो बहुत कुछ है,
लेकिन
यहाँ कानूनन, मैंने कानूनन बात की है, तर्क की बात नहीं की है। कानूनन इनको कोई अधिकार नहीं है, समझे आप। कानूनन पार्टी का अधिकार है। पार्टी के व्हिप ने मीटिंग को बुलाया, मीटिंग की नोटिस जारी कर दी। नोटिस में हालांकि वहाँ भी मौजूद लिखा था कि अगर आप यहाँ मीटिंग को आए नहीं, तो अगर उपस्थित नहीं रहे तो आप कानून, आपके ऊपर कानून कार्रवाई होगी। वो कार्रवाई के लिए हमने आज पिटीशन
लिया। एक्सेप्ट हो चुका है?
हाँ, पिटीशन लिया ना।
भाई। एक बड़ी खबर आई है कि 12 ऐसे विधायक हैं जिनको डिस्क्वालीफाई करने की मांग शिवसेना ने की है, उनकी प्ली एक्सेप्ट हुई है, लेकिन अब तक डिस्क्वालीफाई ये विधायक हुए नहीं हैं। तो उद्धव ठाकरे की जो खेमे के शिवसेना है, उनकी ओर से ये मांग की गई है। जिस तरह से एक व्हिप जारी किया गया था और ये लोग नहीं पहुंचे थे, इसके आधार पर यह मांग की गई है कि इन सभी लोगों की जो सदस्यता है उसे ही रद्द कर दिया जाए। अब आगे क्या ये मामला, क्या ये जो प्ली है वो स्वीकार होती है? स्वीकार होने के बाद क्या उनकी जो डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन की बात की जा रही है उन्हें रद्द किया जाता है या नहीं, इस पर नजर बनी रहेगी। लेकिन एक बड़ी खबर है और रात में भी जो महाराष्ट्र की राजनीति को लेकर जो हलचल है वो लगातार जारी है।
And the anti-Uddhav camp has crossed the 40 MLA mark now and counting, as more MLAs have now reached Guwahati. My colleague Ratnadeep reports from the Radisson Blu Hotel where these MLAs are currently staying.
Moments before we went on air with this broadcast, 2 more Shiv Sena MLAs have reached Guwahati. They have entered the Radisson Blu Hotel. This includes Cabinet Minister Dada Bhuse and MLA Sanjay Rathore. Also along with them in that car was seen MLC Ravindra Phatak, but his vote won't be counted. So therefore now what we can confirm to our viewers is that inside the hotel there are 46 Maharashtra MLAs who support Eknath Shinde. This includes 37 of them from Shiv Sena and 9 of them from who are basically independent. And what we are hearing is that another independent MLA is on way. He would reach here and at any moment. And what we are picking up from our sources inside the hotel and also sources who are handling logistics and other issues for the MLAs who have come here, that tomorrow another set of MLAs, MLCs and in fact an MP of Shiv Sena is also supposed to reach Guwahati. So in total what perhaps the Eknath Shinde camp is looking at is more than 45 plus MLAs to be in a comfortable position. However, now Shinde has 2/3 of the Sena MLAs. We can confirm to our viewers that 37 of them are inside this hotel, which has become the epicenter of this political crisis.
And this is your reminder to mask up, as there has been a steep rise in COVID cases in India. The daily COVID cases are currently at their highest level since February end. The Health Minister has chaired a review meeting amid a sharp COVID spike. The Health Minister has urged officials to ramp up testing and vaccination. 13,313 new cases were recorded on Thursday, which is a number up by 9% from the day before. Now, active cases have gone up by 5.6 times in just the last 1 month, as you can see on the graph on your screen. The average daily COVID cases have also doubled in just the last 2 weeks. And if we get you an update on deaths, there were 38 new COVID deaths recorded, but most of these were from Kerala, that recorded a backlog of 20 deaths. The R factor is also currently above 1, which means that each infected person is now infecting more than 1 people ahead. Let's also look at the worst hit states, the states with the highest daily COVID cases. At number 1, it's Kerala with 4,224 cases. Number 2, it's Maharashtra with 3,260 cases, followed by Delhi at 928 cases, Tamil Nadu at 771 cases, and at number 5, it's Uttar Pradesh at 678 cases. In a move to curb air pollution, Delhi has banned trucks and heavy goods vehicles from October to February. Now, this move comes as Delhi is one of the most polluted cities in the world, and a recent report also said that Delhiites are losing at least 10 years of their life due to air pollution. So, in order to curb air pollution, the Delhi government has banned trucks and heavy goods vehicles from October to February. And moving on, the attempt by AIADMK's number 2 and former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Edappadi Palaniswamy, to become General Secretary of the party took a chaotic turn after the Madras High Court restrained the party from deciding on the single leadership. Bottles were hurled at the party's boss, who wants the present dual leadership to continue. NDTV's Sam Daniel sent us this report.
Water bottles hurled at AIADMK boss and ex-Deputy Chief Minister OPS at a key party meeting, which saw his rival and ex-Chief Minister EPS emerge stronger in a leadership battle. Edappadi Palaniswamy is now the party's joint coordinator. The party rejected OPS's bid to keep the dual leadership. A humiliated OPS walked out.
சர்வாதிகார உச்சிக்கே சென்று விட்டது. பத்திரிகையாளர்கள், நடுநிலையாளர்கள், மக்கள் அனைவரும் அதை தெரிந்திருப்பார்கள். பொதுக்குழு கூட்டுவதற்கு ஒருங்கிணைப்பாளர், இணை ஒருங்கிணைப்பாளர்களுக்கு தான் அதிகாரம். அவைத்தலைவருக்கு அதிகாரம் இல்லை.
The council meeting rejected all 23 resolutions he moved and called for a fresh meeting next month to pave way for a single leader, that's Edappadi Palaniswamy. The Madras High Court restrained the party from deciding on a single leadership, which EPS, the party's second in command, is pushing for. Late Jayalalitha had made OPS the Chief Minister twice when she was convicted. Though OPS was elevated for the third time just before she died, her friend Sasikala, who took over the party, replaced him with EPS after he rebelled against her. However, both leaders patched up and expelled Sasikala when she was in jail and worked out a dual leadership model. OPS became the number 1 in the party and EPS his deputy. In the government, OPS became number 2 in EPS's cabinet. However, the party under the dual leadership suffered 3 consecutive poll defeats.
The absolute need of the party is the single leadership.
Do you think there could be a split in the party on this issue?
No split. No split. That will never happen.
While it's legally advantaged OPS, today the AIADMK council embarrassed or humiliated the senior leader. Although a setback for EPS, the council's message is clear that he has the majority support, and both leaders have a few weeks' time to fine-tune their legal and political strategies. At Vanagram with Suresh, Sam Daniel, for NDTV.
And moving on, there is unprecedented flooding in Assam. People are sailing through water as the floods continue. Almost 3 lakh people are currently affected in Silchar, that is witnessing unprecedented flooding. The city is submerged in water while massive rescue operations continue. Nearly 55 lakh people in Assam have been affected by the floods. Here's a report.
From playing a hands-on host to the Shiv Sena rebels to handling the flood disaster, Assam's Chief Minister is treading a fine line between his party's political work and the opposition's criticism. Earlier, he fobbed off allegations that he was more focused on the Sena rebels than the floods which have displaced people. Today, Sharad Pawar, the architect of the Maharashtra ruling alliance, which is now falling apart, tweeted demanding the immediate intervention of Sarma's government. Unprecedented flooding in Silchar, southern Assam's largest town, with almost 3 lakh people affected. Silchar is the gateway to 3 other Assam districts and the main national highway to neighbouring Mizoram. Also passes through the town. In some areas of Silchar, the water has entered even first-floor homes, forcing people to take shelter on roofs. The Indian Air Force is airdropping relief material to residents using choppers.
पूरा टाउन में वाटर है, यही 2.8 लाख पीपल में हमारे ऑफिस का स्टाफ, हमारे ऑफिसर्स, सामान देने वाला ग्रोसर्स, लेबर, ड्राइवर सभी यही इसी में फंसे हैं, तो आपको ऑप्टिमम फैसिलिटीज हम नहीं दे पा रहे हैं.
Across Assam, nearly 55 lakh people have been affected by the floods in the 32 of the state's 35 districts. In neighbouring Meghalaya, heavy rains have disrupted life in the Garo Hills region, where roads are blocked, bridges washed away and power supply disrupted, jamming mobile and internet services.
बहुत ज़्यादा इस बार नुकसान हुआ है अलग-अलग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर्स को, और अगर आप साउथ गारो हिल्स डिस्ट्रिक्ट को देखें तो शायद मेरे ख्याल से सबसे ज़्यादा जो है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वाइड स्प्रेड जो है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डैमेज साउथ गारो हिल्स में हुआ है, और बहुत सारे रास्ते, बहुत सारे ब्रिजेस जो हैं वो टूट गए हैं, और इन सबको अभी वापस लाने में समय लगेगा.
There's very little scope of improvement in the situation given the forecast. It will continue to rain heavily over the next 5 days in both Assam and Meghalaya. With Ratnadeep Chaudhary, this is Divya Vadwa for NDTV.
And moving on, Asia's richest man, Gautam Adani, has committed 60,000 crore rupees to charity. Adani tweeted that on our father's 100th birth anniversary and my 60th birthday, Adani family is gratified to commit 60,000 crore rupees in charity towards healthcare, education and skill development across India. The contribution to help build an equitable and future-ready India. But how big is this for Gautam Adani? The charity amount is around 8% of Adani's total current wealth. Gautam Adani's current wealth stands above 7 lakh crore and it surged 35% in the last 1 year and grew by 1.9 lakh crore. So the charity amount is almost 1/3 of the wealth Gautam Adani gained in just the last 1 year.